You, Nick?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I'm going to have to learn when to come to this building and when not to.
Well, normally we're off the air at 3, so you would have been okay.
Yeah, I was trying to catch up with the boss and see if we could talk about some stuff, but here I am.
Well, you can talk to him after you appear on our show.
And he keeps me in my dunce chair, which I actually enjoy thoroughly.
It's a great spot for you.
Hey, zoom
Allows
in
me
on
to
Trevor
throw
for a
things.
second.
What?
Stand by.
How are the
That-
A's? How are the A's doing?
I don't like your tone, but I do like the fact that we're still ahead of the Mariners.
Oh,
Ooh.
man.
All right, this is a little bit of a crazy segment here because we ran long with by paying the bills there earlier. So let's take a look at
Let's not look at me anymore, Lewis.
Oh, sorry, let me change that up for
Less talking, more producing.
you. Nick, I have to say that I didn't see anything really that stood out as far as officiating last week. There were a lot of penalties in a game that I was at, which was where was I at? Golden Valley and Highland. But I think that's just how the game ended up being. So
Yeah, that happens. Early season, you're going to find situations where players are still trying to learn how to be on time in sync with the game and stuff like that, so it becomes a problem. Referees are still trying to get themselves used to calling fouls again. This is not a year-round thing for them. So there's usually some adjustments. Hopefully it all balances out, not only from the teams, but also the officials.
Nick, by the way, was a 34 years?
Not that long, 27.
27. I always
Yeah.
get the years wrong. A long time. Longer than this portion of this building has been here anyway. You've been
Probably
an official
so.
in Kern County.
Yeah.
I did have an interesting in Frontier Independence. Towards the end of the game, Independence is playing catch-up. They score a touchdown, line up for an onside kick. And the onside kick doesn't go 10 yards, but it doesn't go out of bounds either. And Independence doesn't realize they need to touch the ball for it to be dead. So they let the ball sit there. And it sits there for a good 3 or 4 seconds before a Frontier player, I believe it was Brady Serta, decided, hey, I can pick that sucker up. He picks it up and runs it 49 yards for a touchdown. What is an official's role? I mean, if the ball is dead in that, it's not dead, but if the ball has stopped rolling in that situation, do you just sort of sit and stand? Do you say, hey, guys, live ball? I mean, what would an official's role be there?
Okay, let me ask you again, the ball, again, it went 10 yards?
It did not go 10 yards. It had
yards.
not gone 10 yards, and it had stopped.
And it had not been
but
touched
it
by
wasn't
a
out of
player.
bounds, hadn't been touched by anybody.
Okay, so in essence, that ball's going to belong to the receiving team no matter what happens.
Okay.
A ball becomes dead, and I haven't looked at the rule book really closely this year, but I don't think it's changed. It's not dead until some event, like it's touched or downed,
Okay.
or it becomes dead just by stopping. It's different than college. So
Okay.
as soon as that ball stopped rolling, the official...
And see, it was on the far side of the field, so it may have still been slightly moving at that
Yeah.
time.
But if it's rolling and all that, if it's moving, usually what will happen, the official will be ready to blow the whistle. And then at that point, once it's stopped completely, they'll blow the whistle and then the play is dead. What could have happened, and I don't know who was on the game, that's not a play that you see a whole lot. I mean,
Right.
in the scope of a whole season with regards to onside kicks, you may see 10 a year at the most. A lot of times not that many. And very few don't go the 10 yards.
Right.
So as far as a learning curve, these officials are going to go, uh-oh, what do we got? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
That could have been a part of it as well.
Well, and it was so interesting because had Independence touched the ball, it would have belonged to Frontier because the ball hadn't gone 10 yards. Frontier, there were about 3.5 minutes left in the game, could have very well run out the clock and won the game. Instead, they picked it up, ran it in for a touchdown, but Independence got the ball back, scored a quick touchdown, and this time recovered an onside kick, scored another quick touchdown.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, it's an 8-point game with 30 seconds left, and they had a shot at another onside kick to where they could have tied the game. They didn't get that one, but
Yeah.
it was one of those situations where I'm not sure the kids knew the rules either, and so a lot of people were just standing around looking at a ball sitting on the turf because it hadn't gone 10 yards yet.
Yeah, and you like it for the officials to at least know the rules. And again, sometimes they're a little slow, especially when they haven't seen that in a while.
Now, would you, in that situation, if you were sure of the rules, say if it stops, it's dead? I mean, would you ever offer any verbal instruction to the players during a play?
No. What I would do if I was one of the flank officials on that line, I would have to think about what my options were. If this ball does not go 10 yards, then I need to be ready to blow my whistle when the ball is dead. If it's touched or downed by the kicking team, I need to know when to kill it. and I be prepared so that when whatever happens, that a call is made. So I would try not to be caught off guard. When we know it's an onside kick, it's something you should really talk about. And when I was a referee, in situations where we knew it was going to be an onside kick, we'd always gather. I don't know if you notice this over after the 3-point or 2-point on the 3-yard line, the conversion.
Right.
The referees will gather there and have a little talk. And if I were the white hat, I would say, okay, now onside kick, you've got the receiver's line, be ready for this, this, and this, and have them kind of prepared.
So a lot of it is about knowing the game situation, knowing what could happen, and preparing yourself for those scenarios.
Always, yeah.
So it's the officials, you're very aware of the game situation. You're not blind to, hey, this team's winning by 40 points, let's get out of here.
Right.
Versus it's a touchdown game, we need to call it tight.
Exactly.
There may be a difference between those two things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, I don't want to put you on the spot too much. I know you've taken. We're going to do predictions and rankings here as we move forward to 3:30 today. But you have taken photos every weekend. I'll just ask you this generally: has any team stuck out to you as looking particularly good in the games you've shot?
Of the games that I've shot, I would say nobody really sticks out other than Ridgeview on that one game.
Okay.
And that was the first game of the season up at BC.
Right.
I know the officials were a little bit tight. That's a big game. Anytime you get to walk on the BC field and shoot, that's going to be a big thing. From a player standpoint, for a team that's a high school team, I don't know how they look at that. I would think if I were a player, I'd be pretty tight. So you don't know what you really get. But I think Ridgeview is going to be a really good team. I hope BHS comes through. I noticed in the paper today when I was looking at the county rankings for rushing and passing and receiving, things of that nature, nobody from BHS was on that list.
Yeah, and that part of that is too. It's Max Preps. I don't know. Does BHS have their stats in?
They
Trevor?
do, but the issue was that you
Two
saw
games.
Marcus Bruce rush for 206 yards in the first game against
Oaks Christian.
And then at Edison, I think he rushed for maybe 35, 40 yards.
Okay.
So that brought his average down to 100. And there's such an abundance of running backs in the area that have gone above that. And we're talking about out at Desert, out at Fraser Mountain, out at Kern Valley.
Yeah.
And obviously,
along with the local schools.
with only 2 games, one game will really affect that average. And
Yeah.
they did not get a lot of yards against Edison.
Yeah, and I noticed most of the people on that list, probably the bottom 2 or so, had just 2 games. But first time I can remember in a while that BHS wasn't on the list at all in
Right.
any of those 3 categories. So
That'll be interesting. The Drillers against Crenshaw, as we mentioned, one of our live games on Bakersfield.com this week.
Let's do rankings.
We'll go through the rankings.
Here they are. Stand by. The
Okay,
top
we do-
25 Central section. Here they are. Wait a minute.
All right,
Where's
we
that
do
at?
have the top 25 Central
There we go.
Section BVarsity rankings brought to you by Bellwright Toyota and North Bakersfield Toyota Scion, as Kevin was in here talking about in our last sponsored segment.
I don't like these.
Edison, number 1.
I don't like them at all.
Lewis doesn't like them, and Lewis,
I actually had some real problems with these rankings this week.
you actually really don't know what you're talking about.
I have a lot
don't.
of problems with these.
What
who,
are your
who
problems?
actually makes the rankings? Is that
I
Zachary
do with
that does
Trevor's
that?
input.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they're-
I didn't get a vote in this. I wouldn't have voted for these guys number 1.
Okay,
There's a reason
who's,
why we don't let you vote.
Who's number 1 then?
Ridgeview.
Louis? You have Ridgeview number 1. Interesting. Well,
All right.
Ridgeview's going to get a chance to prove that in a couple of weeks. Now, here's the interesting thing as you look at this top 5. Edison has the 1-point win over Bakersfield. Bakersfield, I think, and here's why those 2 teams are tops to me. You could not have come into this season without Bakersfield at number 1. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
I
Yes.
do. Yeah.
And then they beat Oaks Christian, which is traditionally one of the state's better teams.
Right.
So you can't move them. And then Edison beats them. So Edison has to be number 1. Right?
No.
And then
Yes.
Bakersfield, it's a 1-point game, so you only knock them down
Sorry.
to number 2.
You
No.
can't drop Edison down and move Ridgeview up.
Ridgeview's the
Based
best
on-
team.
But if that is true, here's the interesting thing about these rankings. Numbers 1 and 4, Edison, Clovis North, they play tomorrow night in Clovis, at Buchanan, I believe. And
I'll pick Clovis North in that game.
if Clovis North wins that game, well, guess who gets to be number 1 then, assuming they beat Bakersfield
Who
Christian?
did Clovis North lose to?
It's Ridgeview. Clovis North
Folsom.
lost to Folsom.
Oh, okay. That's a quality loss.
Yeah, that is a very quality loss. Although it was 49-0 at halftime, so I don't know. how
Folsom
much
isn't
quality.
going to have anybody on their schedule that they're not going to beat by 3 to 4 to 5 to 10
right.
touchdowns.
But 49-0 at halftime. I had Clovis North higher. I
Running
had
clock.
to drop them after that.
They have a running clock in that game. They
did.
must have had one.
Yeah,
Right?
they did.
And Jake Browning did not play in the second
Right,
half.
it finished 49-13 because Folsom didn't play their starters. But the point is that 1 versus 4 play each other, and then in a couple weeks, 2 versus 3 play each other. So what do you do if Edison loses but Bakersfield turns around and beats Ridgeview? Then you could have Clovis North at number 1. So anyway, those things will all hash themselves out over the next couple of weeks. This is the bottom half of the top 10 here. Bullard lost to Grant by a couple of touchdowns last week. Clovis West, but we kept Bullard at number 6. Grant's a pretty good team. Clovis West
Grant's
lost
a very good team.
surprisingly to Turlock. They're not as good as you think, though, Sacramento boy. They're not as good as you think.
I
mean,
saw
Clovis-
what they did last year, and I've seen their offensive line and their running backs, and that's a darn good team.
And Clovis West barely beat Centennial, which is is depleted right now.
Right.
At
Although
crazy levels.
Centennial's defense appears for real no matter what you
Yeah.
say, and we have them at number 9. The interesting thing is we talk about Redwood playing Centennial. If you look at the Fresno B rankings that Andy Bogart puts together, or the PAG meter
friend
rankings
Andy, huh?
that Nick
Tell him I said hi.
Yeah, your friend Andy, or Nick. you and him are best buds. Or the PAG meter rankings by Nick Papagni. They have Redwood in the top 10. They're 3-0. I have them down all the way down at 19, and I'm willing to say I may have them too low.
So
but
really, you should probably call that game.
But I don't think that Redwood is a top 10 team. We'll see. Now, if they beat Centennial, I'll change my tune to that. The team from the WYL that's really on the rise, actually 2 of them you see there, Lemoore, which beat Buchanan 21-3 and beat Clovis the week before that, and Hanford, which has really looked good, and they beat Dinuba 30-7 last week, and Dinuba was up at number 12 last week. Then you see Mission Oak, which beat BCHS, and then you see a couple of D1 teams that I'm not too sure about. Frontier, yeah, they're 1-1. They beat Independence. They've given up a lot of points. And Central 0-3. It's been against a very tough schedule, but they have only been competitive in one of those 3 games, which was against Brentwood Liberty.
So are these the only 15 teams you have to choose from? How come an 0-3 team is rated, or I'm sorry, 20? Yeah, 15 out of 20.
We actually have 25, but you'll see a couple of 0-3 teams here at the bottom. And it's based on schedule, and
Yeah.
this early in the season, you still have to include what you know coming into the season.
Right.
And because you only have 3 weeks worth of results, it's a little bit difficult to say, okay, Golden Valley's 3-0, so they're definitely better than Central, which is 0-3. I don't
And
think
a lot
that's
of
the
times
case.
you can't fault a team for scheduling up and then not being able to come away with the W in those games, such as Central.
Right. One of the games I play with myself is, okay, take Golden Valley, which is 3-0, and take Central 0-3. Would Golden Valley be any better than 0-3 against Central's schedule? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
Would Central also be 3-0 against Golden Valley's schedule? I think so.
Yeah.
So can you say one of those teams is clearly better than the other, even though they're 3-0, 0-3? I don't think so. So
Let me ask a question, if
Sure.
you don't mind. I don't know what our time schedule is.
no, you're fine.
You guys spend a lot of time putting this together, correct?
It takes me a couple of hours on a Sunday or a Monday, yeah.
Trevor, are you involved in that as well?
Via text message.
Clearly,
phone
I'm not
calls,
involved
emails.
though.
Yeah, Lewis doesn't need to be involved, but I can understand why these 2 guys here are. So, Trevor, my question would be, you're not from this area. You don't know these teams. You wouldn't know most of them if they walked up and said hi to you. So do you go literally off of statistics based on the team they play, D1, D2, D3? How do you formulate who's really better?
I go game by game. You look at how they played week 1, week 2, week 3, week 0, week 1, week 2, how they've played against different opponents, what those opponents have done to other teams. Factor in, I look at what teams did last year, what they have coming back, and you kind of formulate everything through that. And then you do look, like Zach was saying, Division One, you're going to have more players, you're going to have a bigger player pool to pull from rather than you would at a D3 or a D4 school. And I'm not saying that they're lesser players, but you usually have more players on the roster, which means a bigger chance to having more great players or solid players or starting players. So you have to factor all of that in. And coaching too.
Yeah, excuse me for interrupting. What I'm totally impressed about, and again, I was a referee for a lot of years. I didn't really care on the field who won or who lost because we have to be neutral and we have to look at a game that way.
What, you're biased every game. Every game I hear somebody say the refs care who wins.
Well, sure.
So how can you?
Yeah, except for me.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say real quick is that you guys put a lot of time and effort into this that I want to give you kudos for, because I didn't honestly know what you were involved in when it comes to actually ranking. And obviously, you don't just pick Bakersfield schools.
Oh, absolutely not.
You actually try in your best ways to make this as accurate as possible. So I give you kudos for that.
Well, kudos bars are delicious, so I'll
That's
take
right.
it.
They
Hey,
are.
just so you know, my picks would be Ridgeview number 1, Bakersfield number 2, Liberty number 3, and the rest of those other schools from the other part of the country
They
up
can
north
fight
would
for
be
the rest.
they'd go. Yeah, exactly.
And this
Homer.
is why you don't do the rankings, because you are
Bring the rest of those
impartial.
rankings up real quick, because Nick brings up an interesting point that we have not seen all these teams play. And I will tell you what, the number 16 team is a team I have never seen play. Liberty Madera Ranchos. In
I
7
refereed
years
one
of
of their
being here,
games in a Valley Final
Yeah.
a few years ago.
I have never seen them play, but I am intrigued by this team. Looking at results, looking at statistics, seeing some highlights. It's a small school team. Now they've been D5 for years. They're up in D4 now. I think that they are legitimately a top 20 team in this section.
Offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, they beat up on people, and we'll see. Again, and sometimes it's hard with the small school, like Trevor said. Roster sizes, size of the kids. Could they hold up against that schedule week in and week out? Maybe not. But I'll tell you what, Liberty Madera against anybody else in this top 20 in a 1 week off showdown, I think they could beat a lot of these teams. I have at number 16, Dinuba 17. Again, it lost to Hanford, lopsided. San Joaquin Memorial has the Holy Bowl this week against Garces. They're riding high at 3-0. We mentioned Redwood. That's a team that could be on the rise. Look out for them at Centennial. Clovis at number 20. They lost. Actually, they won their first game of the year this week. They had been 0-2. And then the bottom 5 in the rankings, Bakersfield Christian, 1-2, and playing Ridgeview this week, a tough test. We talked about Buchanan. They're 0-3, but here's another good example, Nick. They played Edison, they played Bullard, and they've played Lemoore, all teams in the top 12.
Right.
Well, when you
Played them all
lose to a
pretty
team
tough.
like Lemur, you should not be in the top 25.
No, it's not Leper, it's Lemoore. Okay.
I think Wasco might be rated too low,
And
too.
Buchanan might go 0-4 because they've got Liberty tomorrow night here in town.
And the Wasco,
And what I
Buchanan could
saw
very
at
well be
Liberty
0-4.
last week, that team is not the same team. That team looks more like the team that beat Mission Viejo rather than the team that lost to Ridgeview last week.
Well, we got to take a break. We got to leave ourselves some time for some predictions, so we'll take a break here on BVarsity Live and be back right after this.
Why is he stuck on me? I got-
North Bakersfield Toyota is having a huge used car blowout sale this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This weekend is our Drive for 99 sales event. Drive away for $99 down and $99 a month. We've got used cars starting at $49.95, $59.95, $69.95, and so many more, and over 200 used vehicles to choose from. It's our Drive for 99 sales event happening this weekend only at North Bakersfield Toyota Scion, Freeway 99 and 7th Standard.
One thing about living in Kern County is all the great schools. Centennial! Centennial! And no matter what school we go to, there's still one thing. One thing! One thing! We can all agree on. Kern School is the #1 financial institution in all Kern County.
Take advantage of our low fixed mortgage rates, including 60-day lock-in at no cost to you. Purchase or refinance your home today.
Kern School, the biggest little credit union in town.
Roadrunner Men's Soccer will open their 2014 home schedule Saturday, September 13th against UC Davis at the main soccer field. Join us for the first home game under new head coach Richie Grant. Bakersfield is once again a WAC contender and will look to break the Aggies in front of a home crowd. Tickets are $10 for adults. Kids are just $5 and parking is free. Saturday, September 13th, Roadrunner Soccer versus UC Davis. Gates open at 6, kickoff at 7. We're all runners.
For the fastest service in town, check out a sign factory and graphic shop. We create all forms of graphic art, screen printing, wide format digital printing, vehicle and building wraps. We also provide reliable professional sign installations, sign service and repairs throughout Kern County.
Wow, that's a fast wrap!
Providing Bakersfield and Kern County with quality signage solutions for years. Give us a call at 661-834-7330
835, a signed factory.
Whether you're a builder in town or a do-it-yourselfer, EA Shields is everything you need to help make your job easier and affordable. Like ready-mix concrete, rock and gravel, pipe and fittings. Yes, EA Shields has it, and they deliver. For bigger jobs, they rent bobcats, jackhammers, and trailers. EA Shields has been in the business since 1949. They make their own products, and they're your one-stop shop in septic system installation. Give them a call at 325-5969. That's 325-5969. If you don't want the best, then call the rest.
Well, believe it or not, this is not the beginning of the show. It's actually the end of the show. Even with an extra half an hour.
I like that one better.
We've managed to leave ourselves only 11 minutes for predictions here, so we're going to get going. By the way, I had a couple of important numbers to talk about here.
Cut 'em off.
With Trevor, real quick. Top of the
Kill
eighth
his
inning.
mic. Kill
Rangers
Zach's
7,
mic.
A's 2, top of the eighth.
Kill
so
Zach's
that's
mic.
good. That's good. Seattle playing Anaheim later today with Felix on the mound, so that's good.
Oh, that's great.
And the other number would be what?
Kill his mic.
We had 21 games
You
last
killed
week.
your mic.
We had 21 games that we predicted last week, and I believe I picked a certain number of them correct. It might have been all 20. It was all 21.
Wow, I'm impressed.
That means I was like at least 22-0, right?
At least.
Hey,
Okay.
I wasn't far shy at 18-3.
You know what? You needed a good week for your ego. You needed one.
Hey, I know that I picked the Big Bear game wrong.
I'm happy. You did
I
pick the
didn't.
Big Bear game wrong. That was you doubted Kern Valley.
I did.
That's a good place to start. Kern Valley McFarland. This might be the most lopsided game.
Kern
of the
Valley.
year. Yeah, it's the same.
Oh,
Yeah, even I know Kurt Valley on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, McFarland, but that might be the most lopsided game of the year. Okay. Corcoran at Shafter. Shafter lost his first game of the year last week to Selma. They come back home, face the Corcoran Panthers. This should be a pretty
Shafter.
good one. Lewis has Shafter. You've got Corcoran big, Trevor.
I got him by 15 points. That's not huge. in a high
Over
school
2
game.
TDs, yeah.
Yeah, but I got him 35-20.
And I've got Corcoran winning 28-24 close. What about you, Nick?
I'm going to take Shafter because I like their uniforms.
All right, that's a good
Yeah.
reason.
Wow.
Kennedy
Such a
riding
referee.
high at 3-0. Now, Kennedy, by the way, folks, 4 wins in the first 6 years of the program total. They could get their fourth win of this year tomorrow night against Riverdale. I have them winning 42-17.
I got it much, much closer. I got it 14-7.
Now, Dennis Moody can score 14 points in his sleep, Trevor. They're going to go over that.
Who are the teams? I'm sorry.
Kennedy and Riverdale.
Wow, I'm taking Delano, yeah.
You'll take Kennedy of Delano. How about you, Lou?
RFK.
RFK, all right. A little bit closer to home, Miramonte at Taft. Can the Wildcats win a game that, all these distractions with the hazing incident over the last couple of weeks? We got a Taft man sitting next to us.
You do.
Can the Wildcats get back on track? I say they do. I say Miramonte is the recipe for getting back on track, 45-12.
Is this in Taft
It
this
is
year?
in Taft.
Yeah, I'm going to say Taft. That place is going to be packed. I guarantee
They will rally around those boys. I think.
They're going to be there to bring on their team, and I think that Miramonte is going to go home in second place on that game.
All right.
And I agree. I've got Taft 28-7. It's a tough run in there for David Coldiron in his first year at Miramonte.
Lewis?
I'll take the whatever they are. The Wildcats?
Wildcats.
The Comets?
The Comets.
No.
The
Okay.
Rockets?
Comets is from
Now-
Best of Times movie. He's
Here's a
trying to
good
play a
one.
little trick on us there.
Here's a good one. Delano in Oildale to take on North High. Pretty good game here.
North.
Yeah.
North has it has won 2 in a row since they lost to Wasco. Both pretty close, but they took care of East and they took care of they played somebody else. Taft. And now Delano at 1-1 beat South, lost to Stockdale. So this is a good litmus test because could North or South win that league? Delano beat South by 2 points. What can they do at North? I've got North winning by 10, 27-17.
I'm going to take North because the coach, Chad Brown's from Taft.
All right.
So that's
And
why
Chad Brown's a good coach.
He is
so
a
is
good
his
coach.
Defensive coordinator. I can speak English. And I have the North Stars shining 35-14.
I like
so
that.
lame.
I like that.
You're so lame. Lewis, try to be less lame.
North.
All right.
Thrillkeld will do the trick for him.
Foothill.
Thriller,
Oh, they've
Thrillkeld.
got another running back, by the way. What's his name? Isaiah Dillard.
Yep.
Who's putting up a lot of numbers. Foothill at West. Can the Trojans
Hold on,
get their first
I got
win?
something for you. Our buddy Threckeld, he's the only one in the top 20 in Kern County that is in the top 20 in both rushing and receiving yards.
Okay. I love you. but we only have 7 minutes, so we're going to keep moving.
He loves me.
Foothill at West. Does anybody
West.
think the Trojans can get that first win? Lewis says no. I say no. I say 34-13. You think it's going to be close?
I do, 18-12, but West still
That's a weird
victorious.
score. What do you, like 3 missed extra points?
Nobody,
6 field goals?
yeah, nobody gets an extra point.
Okay.
I take West.
I take West high as well.
Foothill
Okay.
doesn't have the horses at all.
Tehachapi, surprisingly, has lost 2 in a row by pretty big margins, both by 2 TDs or more, at home for Arvin. Does everybody think they're going to bounce back? I got Tehachapi winning 27-7.
I
like
got Tehachapi at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tehachapi too. I think the injuries that Arvin have right now that's gonna be the difference maker there.
If Arvin's watching this, they need to know that I'm sure Tehachapi won't mow the grass. It's going to be very long. They love to
do
run in that long grass.
And you think it's a close game as well,
Yeah,
Trevor?
19-14 home cooking for Tehachapi.
I tell you, Tehachapi looked very slow against Centennial.
That
last
could
week.
That's
just
a
be
recipe
Centennial
for
looking
disaster
fast.
in the wing T offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If you can't cut the edge, you can't win.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but that's pretty much a must-win game if Tehachapi wants to go where it wants to go. Got to beat the D4 teams. First game in the new Ray Permanter Field at East High. They've renovated it. It's ready to go. They're at home tomorrow night against Highland. Now, this is an interesting game. 2 teams that have flashed some pretty good defense at times also have, taken on the chin once here.
I've seen both these teams right now too, and I tell you what, Highland did some good things last week against Golden Valley. They just made too many mistakes. That was the problem. And I guess I'm going to go East with this one. I'm looking at a game like 24-20 East.
I've got East 21-9. Trevor picked another weird score.
19-13 East.
Okay.
I'm going to take East because I like Coach Fanucchi.
So we all think it'll be a close game, but we all like East.
Yeah.
And a memorandum to Coach Fanucci, please put your roster on max preps.
Please
Coach.
do that.
Yes. South at Independence. Independence looked very good in a loss last week to Frontier, but I'll tell you what, Jordan Wiley is the real deal. Can South slow him down? I say no. Independence does have a problem on D, but I think they win this one 42-20.
Independence.
Independence 35-13.
Independence, yes.
So we all like Independence. Trevor has them 35-13. Now getting into some of the D1 games. Liberty riding high. The last time they were riding high, they hit a wall that was named Ridgeview. This week they got Buchanan 0-3. Buchanan, I guarantee you, will upset somebody. Will it be Liberty? I say no. 27-13 Patriots.
28-7 Liberty.
Buchanan.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm going to
Take 'em
step
out
out
of
of the
the water.
box.
All
I'm
right.
going to step out of the box.
I guarantee you that is a good enough team to beat somebody they shouldn't this year. It could come this week. We'll see.
I'm going to go in honor of JoJo Hurtado. Liberty.
In honor of BC Renegade Jojo Hurtado.
He had a sack last week. It was impressive.
Frontier at Golden Valley. This is going to be a fun game, by the way. We thought about broadcasting this game just because it's going to be so much fun.
I think we should almost.
Both teams, explosive offenses. Both teams have had some issues on defense. Isaiah Sharp against Andrew Dean and Andrew Waters. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. My only concern is that I think up front, Golden Valley will get worn down. I got Frontier 45-27. You, on the other hand, Mr. Horn.
This is my upset game of the week. I'm riding the Andrew Dean fan train right now. I have Golden Valley 38-35. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of rushing yards, but I see Golden Valley coming out on top.
And we will make fun of you next week when you're wrong. Nick.
I'm going to take Frontier. I'm a big Cornford fan. I love him as a person and a coach, and I just think they're going to pull this one out. So,
how about you?
Why are we still staring at
How
me?
about you, Luez?
Hey, I'm going to take Frontier, but I think Golden Valley will do some work against those guys.
They will show up.
More producing, less talking.
Next
Lewis.
up,
Hey, you keep
Ridgeview
quiet over
at
there.
Bakersfield Christian. This is the game Trevor's covering. Ridgeview's looked so dynamite so far. Can Bakersfield Christian keep up with them? We know the Eagles can score, but they haven't
missed a game.
stopped anybody in the last couple of weeks.
they have not stopped anybody at all.
So
Yeah.
can they do it this week?
I don't know. And the edge has been the biggest problem for Bakersfield Christian. And when you have edge players like Sheldon Crony, Jamara Moya, and even Lawrence White at quarterback, no, I don't
night.
think Bakersfield Christian gets back on track. On
You've
this
got
one.
it 49-35, a true shot. I have close score to that 49-28. Nick, you like Ridgeview?
Oh, I love Ridgeview. My son-in-law is a trainer out there. I'm not going to ever vote against them. So put that down for the rest of the season.
All right.
Ridgeview
We
definitely.
did miss a game.
They may not lose
Redwood
again.
Centennial.
No, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Lewis?
I'm going to take Ridgeview in this game.
Okay. Let's skip ahead to Saturday. We're going to save our 3 broadcast games for last.
Gotcha.
So skip ahead to Saturday. Holy Bowl time. San Joaquin Memorial at Garces. Trevor, you'll be there also. 7:30 on Saturday night. Hopefully that thing will start at 7:30. Memorial's 3-0. They've got big-time running back Stevan Johnson. Garces may have found its own big-time running back in Isaiah Martin, DJ's younger brother last week, but I don't think Garces has enough offensively. I got Memorial 31-17.
Yeah.
Memorial 35-21. I think Garces is going to put up a fight, but
So very close to what I have. The Holy Bowl is usually competitive every year. Lewis?
Garces.
All right. Now our 3 broadcast games. We got just under 2 minutes to go. Starting with the game that Corey Costello and Adam Resendez will be broadcasting live on Bakersfield.com tomorrow. We've talked about this one. Redwood 3-0 at Centennial 2-1. I've talked up Redwood a lot in this show. I like what they've got. Adam Vance, the quarterback, has a receiver named Ricky Garcia who has 395 yards and 7 touchdowns receiving already. That's ridiculous 3 games into the season. And Centennial doesn't have a whole lot of size in that secondary, but they've been great in their front 7 this year. So this is a great matchup. I couldn't quite pull the trigger on an upset. I have Centennial 31-23.
G-Hawks by a touchdown, 28-21.
Nick,
Centennial as well. Yeah.
go against your
Centennial.
daughter's school out there?
No,
Coach
no.
Kevin.
No, all right.
They found a solid backup running back, had a great game last week, and they did what they needed to do.
Okay,
Good
we're all
coaching
talking
job.
too much. We got 2 games left and a minute to go. Clovis at Stockdale. This is where Lewis and Ryan Holt will be. Another intriguing game and a very big game
Stockdale.
proceeding. It's Stockdale's first home game. You like Stockdale, Lewis?
Stockdale by a touchdown.
Stockdale for
See,
me, too.
And I took Stockdale 23-17. This is one where I'm surprised we're unanimous because I think this is a toss-up game. But we all went with the hometown Stockdale Mustangs. Finally, myself and Justin Roberts on the call, broadcasting live on Bakersfield.com. Crenshaw of Los Angeles at Bakersfield. There will be speed in spades
Man.
out there. I have Bakersfield 35-16. I think Crenshaw has not seen an offense like this triple option. I think it's going to eat them up.
Drillers.
And I also think the Drillers have had 2 weeks to stew over that loss to Edison.
Yep.
I think you're right, yeah.
28-23.
Drillers all the way.
Lewis?
Drillers.
Yep.
All right. 28-23. So you think it'll be down to the final possession, Trevor?
I do.
I have 35-16. I have the Drillers pulling away in the second half, but it should be a really good one. So Crenshaw, Bakersfield, Clovis, Stockdale, Redwood, Centennial. Catch them all live starting at 7 o'clock. BVarsity game night here. Also tomorrow night, Vance Palm doing the duties. Nick Ellis, thanks for stopping
Thank
by.
you.
We
Good
had
to be
Lawrence
here.
White, Justin James. We had Kyle Jean from Pinnacle Performance. And we had Kevin, what's his last name?
Ferguson.
Kevin Jurgensen.
Ferguson.
Kevin Jurgensen from Bill Wright Toyota stopping by as well. We appreciate all the guests. Until tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, I'm Zach Ewing. This has been BVarsity Live, everybody.